Welcome to Family Business World. I'm your host, Dr. Dale Caldwell, and I have Max and Hunter Janoff from Crystal Plaza, one of my favorite locations in New Jersey. Welcome, Max and Hunter. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, well, thanks for taking.
Appreciate you having us on.
Yeah, thanks for taking time. And as you know, I'm the executive director of the Fairleigh Dickinson University Rothman Institute of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And our premier event every year is our annual Family Business of the Year Awards, which we've had for 28 years, most of which we've had at Crystal Plaza. And you've just been great partners. And I was there for your February Valentine's event, so it's wonderful. So the business has been around how long?
104 years.
104 years.
1917.
What year? When?
1917 it was founded.
Unbelievable. So you guys didn't found it. Tell us the family history, and then I want to hear your history about where you guys grew up and all that good stuff.
You want to take it, Hunter?
Yeah, so my great-grandfather, Max Janoff, actually immigrated from Russia and founded the business in Newark in 1917. It started as a little delicatessen and catering home out in the city, and it migrated over to Maplewood in the 20s or 30s, I believe, when they opened Alpine Catering, which was a strictly kosher facility, actually.
Okay.
And it wasn't until 1965 or so when my father, my grandfather, and great-grandfather, all three of them actually, as partners, bought what was once called the Condor, which is now the Crystal Plaza. It was originally a home built in the late 1800s. It was converted into a catering hall, mansion, wedding venue. And shortly thereafter, unfortunately, both my great-grandfather and grandfather passed away suddenly. And my father was joined by his sister Ronnie, my aunt, who took over the business and made it what it is today here at Crystal Plaza in Livingston. Alpine subsequently was closed, and we focused all of our efforts as a family on Crystal Plaza, the venue as it stands today.
Wow, and I just love those stories. Those are the American stories. That's what America's made up of, these family businesses, these multi-generational family businesses. And I know you see this beautiful place, but you know how much hard work went into it. So tell me, Hunter, Max, where'd you guys grow up? Where'd you go to school? And what did you do before you got involved in the business?
So we both grew up in Short Hills, so right around the corner from the Crystal, which was very convenient for when we would work there. I went to Morristown Beard High School, and then I went to Hobart College in upstate New York.
Oh, nice.
Hunter went to Milburn High School, and then went to University of Arizona. Then did some time at culinary school, so he kind of has a little bit of a culinary background as well. Growing up, we were there every summer, working the summers, working when we weren't at school, kind of working our way up. It was, how my father was raised and how he wanted us to learn the business. And I think it directly correlates to how we operate and are able to see the business now, because we really know the core of the business and, what it takes to, really run the business. All my chefs still make fun of me because every summer I would just come in and I would have to cut lemons. I would cut lemons and wrap them in the wrap, so when you squeeze them, the seeds wouldn't come out, and I would just be so miserable doing it. But now I'm doing sales and I'm meeting with a client. I understand that if I'm selling a raw bar and there needs to be lemons on it, what it takes to really do that. So it all comes full circle.
Well, one of the things I've learned on this show with family businesses is when the young people start out sweeping the floors, doing the things that aren't fun, they develop an appreciation for the business that carries on later in life. I see there's when kids come in as senior VP and have never really had sweat equity, they don't appreciate the business as much. So that's a brilliant move, and I know you'll probably do the same thing with your kids when they're coming in, and they're going to hate you for it, but then they're going to love you for it later on. And so talk about the Crystal Plaza. What is this place for those that have never been? Why should people come? What do you have? I just love it. I really love it.
You want to take it, Hunter, or you want me to go?
Go ahead, Director of Sales.
Crystal Plaza, it really is just like a turn-of-the-century mansion. We try to make it feel like your guests are coming to your own home for the day. That's really our intention. To really, put it in perspective, we only host one event at a time. So we give the whole exclusivity of our space We just did a major renovation, which is set to be completed in the next few weeks, actually. At this point, there's just one piece that's still remaining. We added about 13,000 square feet to the mansion of new amenities, we added a new indoor ceremony room that could be used as we actually did a bar mitzvah in it yesterday. So, it is a very homey feel to it. It's not a very corporate feel. It's very inviting. One of the things that we take the most pride in is our food and our service. So as you mentioned, you were there for our dining experience, which is something that we're segueing to as kind of through COVID, it's one of our ways of pivoting in the business.
Right.
But really, one of the things we like to show off is our food and our service. And as an event space, we do believe we have a beautiful space that people love coming and looking at. But really, when they leave, they're saying it's so much more than just a beautiful space.
Yeah, you really get a good feeling when you go there, so now can you operate as a restaurant now if you wanted to, or how's that?
So one of the ways that, and I was just alluding to, is we've started what's called our signature dining series. Our executive chef Paul Fonte, an incredible chef. A lot of the times when it comes to weddings, it's difficult for him to really show his true prowess because he loves the little details and the little nuances of food and pairings and aromas and all those really fun details of a dining experience. And now we're able to execute and do these dining experiences. We've done 2 or 3 at this point. I think we'll probably end up doing them once a quarter. I think it's one of the things through COVID that will probably stick with us because it has been such a success. But as a restaurant, it's not going to be what we do, but it's going to be a good way to show off what we do best.
Wonderful. And so now, Max, you do a lot of stuff, obviously, but sales. And Hunter, what do you focus on within the business?
Not much, mostly vacation time. No, I'm kidding. Max is more client-facing. He deals with all the new calls, new inquiries, guests coming in to tour the venue, and essentially booking them and being holding their hand from the moment they enter the building through their actual event date. I'm a little bit more behind the scenes, business opportunities. We've expanded to doing more off-premise since I joined the business about 4 years ago. I also oversee all of the new renovations here on site, and we like to joke that Max makes the money and I like to spend the money, but we got to continue to grow and stay with the times. There's always little details and things going on behind the scenes that need updating. And I also like to work directly with our chef, updating our menu and keeping things current and fresh.
So now your dad, what role is your dad? Your dad was running the business, for a while. Is he kind of ready to retire some, or what role is your dad playing?
I think before COVID, he was really starting for the first time to think about how I could come in. I'm speaking on his behalf, how he could come in 1 or 2 times a week and really, he'll never leave completely. That'll just never happen. He loves what he does too much. He loves interacting with guests too much. He loves seeing what's going on day to day too much. But I think prior to COVID, he was kind of looking forward to that. And so it's been a challenge through COVID to get him back to a place where he's comfortable. I think he knows that, the business is in good hands, but this has been something none of us have ever seen before. Right. And while it's been difficult, I think it's also been a little bit exciting. I hate to use that word during COVID, to just try to navigate through these difficult times. And he gets to do that side by side with his 2 sons and his sister Ronnie on a daily basis, which I think makes him the most proud that he's got a team around him that is family.
And it's just interesting watching the evolution of family businesses to see that, the owners, the heirs or the original owners, it's been their life. It's been your dad's life for so long, and he's put his heart, and sometimes it's hard to let go. And, as I have a 16-year-old daughter, and parents, you'll always be kids. Doesn't matter what age, you could be 60 years old and you're still a kid to your parents. But there comes a time when you say, wow, I'm excited that they're in the business and they're going forward. So it's and just the little I'm getting to know of you guys have a wonderful, wonderful relationship. Now, did you both, Hunter and Max, did you do things before you came to Crystal Plaza? Did you work somewhere else? Was that kind of a mandate, or where else have you both worked before you came into the company?
Yeah, so I've worked at the Crystal my whole life. Right out of college, I knew
Okay.
that that's kind of the route I wanted to go.
Good.
So I kind of dove right in. I took like a month off after college. I kind of enjoyed myself, and then I just jumped right in 2 feet first. Hunter was more, he went to culinary school, so he was kind of in the restaurant business in the city for a little bit.
Okay.
Then he went on to be the director, what were you, the GM? Why don't you, I don't even know. What were you doing in New York?
I can explain it a little better. Went to culinary school in the city. It was my way of just kind of saying, I want to learn more about the business, but want to kind of feel what the outside world is a little bit like, because you are in a little bit of a bubble in a business, in a family business. You know, growing up in it, you're only learning from the people that have always been there. And even before me, the generation before me was all people that had always been at the Crystal Plaza. And there's something great about that. And there's also something not so great about that, the fact that people haven't been outside those four walls. So I took it upon myself to want to try something new. Going to culinary school was an amazing opportunity to learn some of the skills I knew I would need in the future, but it actually led me down a restaurant path, which I'd never expected. I worked with Tom Colicchio, opened Eataly in Manhattan, and then, with Mario Batali, opened Eataly in Manhattan, then worked with Tom Colicchio at a few different locations, and then was with Tao Group for about 7.5 years as Mexico's general manager and director of operations before leaving that gig. And when I came back to the family business, it was so eye-opening because I knew a lot about how we operated, but I had also seen how larger corporate groups were operating as a restaurant group, and we were just an independent location. And I think that was one of the things that got me excited to come back, is I could apply some of the things I learned in these larger organizations to what is essentially a mom and pop shop. Obviously, the numbers don't say that, but we're a family business, and we have under 100 employees, and taking some of those lessons learned in larger scale operations and applying them to a small family business really changed the way we do things here today, and continue to do so.
Now, do you have any other siblings? Just the two of you?
We have a younger sister, Nicole.
Okay.
She is actually a teacher in New York, and she loves teaching. And we've always told her that some of the best people that have ever worked in our organization were actually teachers.
Oh, interesting.
And they taught our staff how to, wait tables and take dinner orders and tend bar and all these different things. So there's definitely an application to what she does today. If she ever does decide that she wants to join the family business, we would love to have her. But she's very happy in her position right now as a teacher in New York.
That's wonderful, and I know your dad's happy that the three of you are all doing so well. I want to stay on that. We see all these cooking shows, and you hear about this stuff. Is it as competitive and as nasty as you see on TV? This whole chefs and we'll start talking about that. We're going to take a break in a little bit, but we'll start on that. Is that realistic, or is it the total opposite in the real world of?
Working in a restaurant is totally different than working in a catering facility. And I think that you get a little bit of a competitive advantage when you talk about the ego kind of driven looking chef that people see on television. It's not quite that. I mean, we really have an opportunity here in our business to plan ahead. Now, obviously, things come up and things change on the fly. But what we love, all of us, Max, myself, our chef, our entire team, we love sitting down and game planning months in advance for this over-the-top affair and being able to curate a custom menu for people like that. So it's not as crazy, I think, as what you see on TV as much.
Well, Hunter, we'll take that break. We're going to take a quick mid-show break for commercials, and I want to come back and talk a little bit more about the quality of food that you have there.
This plus this equals this, plus this, and this. Don't drink and drive.
Hello, I'm Dale Caldwell. Welcome back to Family Business World. I have Max and Hunter Janoff from Crystal Plaza in Livingston. And so we're just talking to Hunter about the food. And so I was saying during the break, Hunter, having been there, and it's kind of New York quality food in New Jersey. That's really kind of what you're doing, kind of giving that New York, high quality experience. Is that an accurate depiction, Hunter?
Absolutely. I think that's exactly what we try to tell our guests too is, catering food sometimes has the stigma of being meat, protein, starch, and vegetables on a plate. And it's almost that cafeteria style lineup. And look, we have a lot of great catering places, a lot of great catering businesses out there that are doing on and off premise catering. But I think what we do differently is the level of presentation and also curating directly with our clients. Instead of choosing off of a menu directly, we want our guests to know when they come here, hey, if you come from a specific culture where you're used to this kind of food and you don't see it on our menu, we'll actually design a station like that for your guests. Does mom make something at home for you that you just absolutely die for? And is that something we can serve all of your guests? So it's a representation of who you guys are. And we love doing that. That's the core of our business, is curating and customizing menus for our guests when they come here. So it's not just about the chandeliers. Right. It's not just about the service. It's about serving your guests something that makes them feel warm and amazing and shows off a little bit about who you are actually as a person.
So Max, now this has been a challenging time. I mean, this pandemic, I know we couldn't do it in October, so we just did a virtual version, but we will be back this year. So how did you handle it? How did you pivot as an organization? What was some of your strategies over the last year?
Yeah, so it's definitely been a really unique time. Obviously, with our history going back so far, one way I was able to reassure our clients is by telling them we made it through the Great Depression, right? We're going to get through this, right? So that was one thing I would tell them. And honestly, as funny as that sounds, it honestly holds true. It just means we're willing to do whatever it takes. There's a silver lining through all this, which is that last February we started the renovations that I talked about, Hunter spoke about, and Hunter had been working very hard on that for years ahead. And when March came around and things got bad, we had to shut down. We kind of sat down as a team and said, okay, let's do right by our clients and let's do right by ourselves and really move ahead with this construction. So when this is all done, we can open as a new venue, and that's exactly what we did.
Wonderful.
We took advantage at the time. We're ahead of schedule on the construction. Things are coming out better than ever without having to stop for events. We were really able to pay attention to details and pieces that we weren't sure we were going to have the time to do. So we use it as a silver lining. And even in July, when we were able to start doing outdoor events, we made a decision to stay closed so we could continue with the construction at that point. And then our first event wasn't until October. Wow. But it all kind of comes full circle. The first event that unfortunately had to get postponed due to COVID was last March. I think they were supposed to be on March 14th, I believe. I don't remember the exact date. And then their wedding actually took place this past weekend.
Oh, wonderful.
So,
good.
So it really has come full circle. And on the sales side of things, honestly, as much as we have clients looking forward to later this year and 2022 and even 2023 for the new renovations and to throw an event, with 200-300 people like what we're hoping to do, there's also a huge community of people who are now saying, wow, the world is getting better. I've been waiting so long. Let's do it as soon as possible.
Exactly.
For instance, this is not an exaggeration. 2 weeks ago, I had a very lovely couple that came in that booked their wedding for yesterday.
Oh,
so
really?
they came in and they did their wedding 2 weeks later.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yep. We're seeing a lot of that, small 20, 30 people that want to just do it as quickly as possible because they've been waiting and waiting. And then there's also a community saying, okay, in 4 or 5 months, I could do it with 150, 200 people in a full wedding capacity. And then there's also the people saying, okay, by 2022, I could do it in an even fuller capacity, 300-400 people if needed. And the positivity has changed dramatically. Last year in the fall, it was, okay, how do I postpone my event? What do I do? How do I postpone? Now the conversations are, okay, how do I make this wedding happen? Right? What do I have to do to make this wedding happen? And it's just a totally different attitude. And every day, and as little as seeing a friend getting their vaccination or a friend going to an event, it just creates a positivity throughout the world and throughout, the social communities, which is really what we need to progress with this. But, our intention is to give every client that comes through the door the safest possible environment to celebrate safely. And it's gone really, really well, and our clients are extremely thankful, it seems, for how we've handled this whole process.
Well, you're a class act, and the family is the way family businesses treat customers and treat employees is really nothing else, no other organization compares with that. But one of the things about the human condition is that we need to see a light at the end of the tunnel. It's interesting that the vaccines now, I saw a 60 Minutes piece about how these vaccines are adapting and so on and so on. But I think people didn't see an end to into this thing before last year. So they were reticent to even make plans, but now they see an end to it. So I'm seeing more and more confidence in people going out and so on. But now, speaking of employees, now you have a long-term employee that we've worked with. Most family businesses have the family members, but they typically have somebody who is a non-family member who is treated like a family. You know who I'm talking about. What's his title? He's officially the chief operating officer, or?
Barry Ress.
Yeah.
Barry's been with us for 33 years, I think, at this point.
36 years, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's essentially Uncle Barry at this point.
Right.
Which is funny enough. I actually have two Uncle Barrys, so he's a third Uncle Barry. Yeah, I mean, he's been kind of our. He's pretty much taught us through the ranks. He's been through every scenario. He's kind of taught us how to even interact with our own dad in the business, right? Okay, Alan's going through one of the don't talk to him on this day, don't say that. He showed us the ins and outs, and through COVID he's really taken a bit of a back seat, and which we totally understood, and he's become really just a true ambassador to us at this point. But he's always going to be a Crystal Plaza guy, and he really. Without him being blood, he's blood. I mean, he's been with us forever.
Well, I called up. I didn't know what to do on Valentine's Day, and I had actually Sue Slavin in my office. So I work with Sue and Maura, who love you folks, and said, hey, well, the Crystal Plaza is having something on Valentine's Day. So I called him up. And he just spoke. He said, "Oh, well, Max and Hunter have taken over, and he was just your biggest, PR, your biggest fans." Said, "Give them a call. They'll make sure that it's a great event." And it really was just a fantastic event. And I really say that people don't, if given a choice to work for an organization, a government agency, a big for-profit or a nonprofit, a family business treats people much better. Once you've proven yourself, you become part of the family, and that's what people don't seem to understand. And it annoys me when people think that family businesses are trying to take advantage of folks and they're trying to mandate things. And so, especially as we go through this horrible time, but I think hopefully that's changing. So,
one of the with the family business aspect, again, it's just, forever with our. Because this year was the first time we actually had to dive into our contracts, to be honest, right? It was people coming at us saying, well, in the contract, and I'm saying, guys, we're a family business.
Right.
The contract's because our lawyers tell us we have to have one, right? So it's funny you say that, because they were like, oh, well, the contract, what do you need to make you happy, right? That's how we have the conversations.
Yeah, and see, and that's that's so important, and I that's why I do this show, is I really want the world to know. This whole culture of family businesses, which I think is beautiful. As you know, we started something in the fourth week of October called Family Business Week. And the whole idea is we want people to support family businesses every day of the year. But certainly then, to really spend all their money with family businesses. So for the audience, two things I want to know, how they get in touch with Crystal Plaza, and what kinds of events, what kind of the range of events that you guys offer. Obviously weddings, you talked about weddings, but what else do you offer?
Yeah, so if you want to contact us, call us, email us, info@crystalplaza.com, DM us at Crystal Plaza on Instagram. Mm-hmm. We really, at the Crystal Plaza itself, any type of celebration. That's really as simple as it gets. Again, we do events as small as 15 people, as big as 400, and you get the whole mansion to yourself. So we don't care how you use it. But Hunter could probably touch on, kind of the more unique events that we've been doing.
Yeah, so like as I mentioned, we've expanded some of our off-premise catering and capabilities. So we've been proposing events and doing events prior to COVID, as far as Florida, frankly. We helped host an event down at Super Bowl in Miami last year.
Oh, really? Wow.
We do different events throughout the New York City and tri-state area. So there's really nothing we can't do. It's just a matter of if you want us there or not. We're not afraid to pack up our show and go on the road. That's for sure.
Wow. Well, unfortunately, we're at the end of time. This has been great. It's been great getting to know both of you. You will see me, back there for a variety of events. But Max and Hunter, congratulations on kind of taking over the reins, and give my best to your dad and Barry. And so thank you very much. And I want to thank the audience for watching another Family Business World show. So we'll see you next week.